Our guest today is the Commissioner of Streets and Sanitation for the City of Chicago. He was chosen for this position by Mayor Rahm Emanuel just over 1 year ago. Just after being chosen, the mayor said of our guest speaker, and I quote, "He knows how to get the garbage picked up, the trees trimmed, and see through the type of reforms and management that I want to see," unquote. He's a 34-year veteran of the Chicago Police Department. Our guest today is a graduate of the FBI National Academy. He served our country as an airborne paratrooper in the United States Army. And he's very, very smart because he brought his wife, Yvette, to our lunch today. Yvette, where are you? Stand up so we can see you, Yvette. There we go. And he is a proud father of 4 children. Ladies and gentlemen, Charles Williams. Commissioner? All right. Have fun up here.
All righty. Good afternoon. I want to thank Jay Doherty and the City Club for inviting me to speak with you today. And I want to thank Professor Paul Green for his kind introduction. I have to tell you, I'm surprised and gratified by the number of people who take time out of their busy schedules to be here today. The truth is that as Commissioner of Streets and Sanitation, I don't generally make a lot of speeches. Most of my communications consist of things like, let's go get it done. So in that spirit, I'll try and keep this short and to the point so I'll have time to answer your questions. When Mayor Emanuel asked me to head Streets and Sanitation Department a little over a year ago, I was the head of National Security for Merchandise Mart Properties, having served 33 years with the Chicago Police Department. And I was honored to once again serve the city. I'm also honored to see the huge representation from Merchandise Mart here today. It's good to see you folks again as well. It's gratifying to be back in city service. Spending 34 years with the Chicago Police Department gave me an opportunity to work in every part of the city. And Chicago consists of neighborhoods. And each and every neighborhood is different. Each and every neighborhood has different needs, different issues that we have to address. Having the ability to come back and head this department to provide those services is truly an honor. The Department of Streets and Sanitation is the city's largest provider of non-emergency services with nearly 1 million service requests every year. There are approximately 2,400 full-time and seasonal employees, and we have over 1,500 vehicles. We are divided into 4 distinct service bureaus: Forestry, Sanitation, Traffic Control, and Street Operations. On top of the department's central structure, each ward has a dedicated ward superintendent that coordinates city services for the residents in that ward. Chicago, again, is a city of neighborhoods, all with different needs, but all communities need efficiently collected refuse and recycling. They need their trees trimmed, they need their streets swept, and yes, on a day like today, we need the streets plowed as well. My department does this, and it does it very well, but we can always have room for improvement. From transitioning to grid garbage to citywide recycling collection to piloting computer models for rodent baiting, we're on a daily mission to find efficiencies to improve the delivery of services for every resident. The best example of improving services for Chicagoans is how we pick up garbage. For decades, it was done on a ward-by-ward basis. In other words, nonlinear ward boundaries determined the system for garbage collection, rather than implementing a grid system that made far more sense. With the budget challenges facing Chicago, we could no longer justify such an inefficient system. So for the sake of residents, we had to change. And I'm happy to report in April of this year, we successfully completed the transition to grid garbage. Transitioning to grid garbage was an important budgetary initiative from the mayor. and we continue to work with our aldermen on a regular basis to ensure that all their needs are met within the grid garbage system as well. The grid system, widely used by municipalities and private refuse haulers, has changed collection routes from nonlinear ward geography to a system of routes bordered by main streets and natural boundaries. The service model concentrates sanitation workers in targeted areas of the city each day and creates balanced service regions to improve daily collection performance. The positive results have been dramatic. By reducing drive times, fuel costs, vehicle maintenance, and labor costs, we are saving about $18 million annually through this common sense reform. We have been able to reduce the number of garbage trucks required each day from over 360 trucks a day to fewer than 320 trucks. At the same time, our crews are servicing more than one extra alley per truck every day. But our work on grid garbage collection system did not stop in April. We continue to thoroughly examine the grid garbage collection system to entirely identify the best practices that are available to us. Recently, we have focused our efforts on evaluating the management structure of the grid and developing a strategy to increase accountability among our staff while enhancing garbage collection for residents. As a result, we've restructured our sanitation management to reflect the grid system, allowing for consistent daily leadership and enhanced supervision in all 8 divisions, ensuring operational continuity and increased accountability. In the coming year, we will continue to evaluate our manpower and the efficiency of our routes and make changes necessary to ensure residents are receiving the best possible services available. As a police officer, I'm more interested in pragmatism than politics. I want to know what works. So if this grid system works so well for garbage pickup, the mayor and I are inclined to ask, where else might it work? We now provide our forestry services and graffiti removal services through the grid system. By moving to the grid system, each crew of forestry has increased their daily productivity by 17% over the old system. And I'm pleased to report that Mayor Emanuel's 2014 budget includes nearly $1 million in additional forestry resources, which we anticipate will result in 15,000 additional trees being trimmed in the coming year. After all, forestry motto is leave no tree untrimmed. That was actually my joke. I like that one. The mayor's 2014 budget also includes over $2 million in additional forestry resources for tree removal and tree planting. With these additional resources, we anticipate planting over 2,000 additional trees in the coming year. I do truly appreciate the over 500,000 trees that make up our city's urban canopy. So I want to mention the $2 million the mayor earmarked for emerald ash borer inoculation, or EAB for short. This is the first time the city has ever dedicated a workforce for EAB inoculation. The emerald ash borer is an exotic beetle that is native to Asia, and it threatens approximately 85,000 of our parkway ash trees. This past year, the Bureau of Forestry was able to inoculate over 37,000 trees. In the coming year, we anticipate inoculating an additional 35,000 trees. By doing this, an inoculation per tree costs us about $46 to inoculate a tree. It costs us $1,000 to take down a tree and replace it with a new one. So we're saving trees and we're saving dollars. Last year, we began transitioning the city's existing graffiti blaster program to a grid system. This has enabled us to complete an additional 16% more work each day and use our limited resources to keep Chicago's communities cleaner and safer. So far this year, we have completed more than 115,000 graffiti removal assignments. That's a 25% increase over the same time period last year. At the time of budget cuts at the state and federal level, we were able to add 5 new workers to our graffiti removal program in 2013. These new workers have completed over 46,000 assignments this year. I'm pleased that the mayor's budget for next year includes additional resources for graffiti removal. With this addition, we are projecting we will complete an additional 11,000 graffiti removal jobs throughout Chicago's communities and neighborhoods in 2014. Mayor Emanuel's goal is for Chicago to be a very environmentally friendly city to live and work in. For years, residents across Chicago wanted recycling in their communities, and when Mayor Emanuel took office, little more than 1/3 of the city received residential blue cart services. But it wasn't until this year that we finally were able to provide it citywide. So in cooperation with our unions, we brought competition to recycling services, and the goals of the managed competition include reducing the cost of blue cart recycling, providing the same quality or better level of services to the residents, and generating savings in order to expand the recycling program citywide. And the results have been dramatic. Through the competition, we have been able to reduce our cost of service to an annual savings of $13 million. Not only has the strategy saved or to reduce our operational costs, it's paved the way for citywide recycling. Since this spring of this year, we have added 340,000 additional households to recycling program. As of last month, residential recycling blue cart is available in every neighborhood and every community. So far, we have diverted 54,000 tons of materials from landfills. Each ton costs about $44 to dispose of, meaning that we've saved some $2.4 million. By year's end, we project a savings of 75,000 tons, translating to $3.3 million in savings. Recycling is not only good for Chicago's bottom line, it's critical to our planet's future. That's why, as part of our recycling program, we are partnering with the Chicago Public Schools to teach students about recycling and to encourage their families to participate. About a week ago, during America Recycles Day, I visited the Haynes Elementary School, and I was there to talk about recycling with the students. I was anticipating I was going to meet with probably 6th graders or 7th graders, and as I'm waiting in the room for the children to come in and they begin walking in, I realized they were preschoolers and they were kindergartners. I mean, very small people. And I thought, you know, we're probably getting an audience here that isn't going to grasp recycling. They're not going to get what I'm talking about. And yet, when I began talking to these young, small children, not only did they grasp it, they grasped it with vigor. I mean, they knew this item you recycle, this item you do not. They knew what recycling was. They knew what goes in, what does not. The key is getting these young folks to take this home, no offense, us more mature people, to grasp this. Rolling out the blue carts was the easy part. Quite frankly, you've got them out there. Now we have to make sure that everybody participates. The mantra here should be, Chicago, what have you recycled today? It's that important. For every piece that we recycle, it's better for the city, and if we can get these folks to take it home and get the parents to pick it up, the battle's won. Right next to the blue carts are your large black garbage carts used for residential refuse. The problem is that since we rolled out black carts in the late 1980s, the city has not maintained a viable inventory system to assist us in accurately managing our resources. So starting in 2014, we're going to conduct an electronic audit of all residential garbage carts in the city. Right now, we spend about $2.5 million a year on black carts. Yet our actual inventory of what's out there and the condition of the inventory, quite frankly, we don't have a good grasp of it. We're going to be putting a small electronic tag on each black cart that'll tell us where it belongs, and it will be able to maintain a list of the condition of that cart. So for the first time, we'll have a real good feel of how much do we really need to expend on carts in the coming year. Now let me get to a subject that everyone has been waiting for: rats. I cannot yet declare victory in the fight against our ancient enemy, but I can report that we're making steady progress. This year, we have increased our preventive rodent baiting efforts by 18%, and we've experienced a 17% decrease in calls for service. To better improve our rodent baiting service, we are partnering with the city's Department of Information and Technology to launch a pilot program that utilizes 311 data to curb rodent issues before they become a significant problem for our communities. Mayor Emanuel is committed to finding new ways to improve services through innovation and technology, and the automated preventive rodent baiting pilot has the opportunity to do just that. The innovative pilot looks at the relationship between more than 30 311 data variables and predicts future rodent complaints. The program then dispatches preventive baiting crews to that location before the rats become a problem. I'm encouraged by this creative pilot, and the citywide program could be implemented as early as this spring. So if you are a rat or an emerald ash borer in Chicago, your progress is not very good. Prognosis is not very good. But if you are a Chicago resident, you will be receiving better, more efficient service from my department, which I like to think of as part of city government that is closest to the people. Mayor Emanuel and I share a philosophy that everyone needs and deserves basic city services no matter who they are or where they live. I am grateful to the mayor for giving me this opportunity to continue to serve the people of Chicago, and it's the city in which I was born and raised. I'd also like to thank my beautiful wife for more than 26 years of marriage. Without your help and support, I wouldn't be here today, so thank you. I appreciate the invitation from the City Club, and I'd be happy to take your questions at this time.
Well, we have to give this one first because his son's one of my students. Pat Harney, CDOT, why doesn't, right off the bat, why doesn't DSS, you know what that is, right? That makes one of us, plow the bike lane? Right off the bat.
This is a question I truly appreciate, Pat. Thank you for that question. I really appreciate it. I'm going to dig right into this one and point out, first of all, let me compliment the Chicago Department of Transportation. I think their efforts in putting out bike lanes and the outstanding manner in which they've done so, they put a ton of effort and time into this, and they have shown such skill that I truly believe that CDOT is the only department that has the expertise to truly manage these bike lanes and plow them in the winter. Therefore, we'll allow you to continue to do so. Thank you, Pat.
Pretty diplomatic, eh? All right. Jesus. There's a conspiracy going on here. I'm just going to read these. Mark Weinmiller, where are you, Mark? You should be way in the back. Yes, that's where you are. That's right. In Wilmette, that's part of Cook County, huh? In Wilmette, we have a recycle pickup 4 times monthly. In Chicago, wards 42, 44, 46, it is 2 times monthly. Can we get 4 pickups? Very nice of you to have the influence of 42, 44, and 46 because you live in Wilmette. That's pretty good.
Thank you for that question. We've just completed rolling out recycling to all 600,000 households in the city. As we begin to push our education campaign and recycling begins to catch on more and more, this is an issue that we will certainly follow up on. As I mentioned earlier in my speech, you have to constantly examine your department for where can you make improvements? How do you make it work better? What can you do better? How do you deliver services better and more efficiently without more costs? This is an area that we'll look at when the amount of weights come up to a level that offsets the cost of the additional 2 days a month pickup, then we will more than likely be transitioning to that. But that's something you have to watch as the weights begin to pick up. And that's something I'm certainly hoping that each and every one of you go back and talk about with your friends and neighbors, make sure we recycle. So as that picks up, then we'll look at increasing those pickup days.
Hey, A couple of more. We have a Josh Tulsa. Where are you, Josh? It says Ward 5. You don't have to put that down there, you know. It's the People's Republic of the Ward 5. Here we go. What has happened? Well, another very, all softballs. What has happened to the city's planting of parkway trees? This program appears to have vanished, yet it is all that more needed due to the effects of the emerald ash borer. Charles, right up your alley.
Thank you for that question. Again, as I pointed out, we do have funding this year to plant about 2,000 trees. And, excuse me, we're going to prioritize that planting. We have some blocks in the city where the emerald ash borer has been so proliferant, we've lost entire blocks of trees. Those are the blocks that we're going to look at replacing trees first, where we're taking out the most. I mean, clearly we want to try and maintain the canopy. So we do have additional funding for it. We will be planting additional trees, but again, we'll also be prioritizing where are we taking the trees out.
Okay. Well, the moderator, with permission, will have a question. How come you didn't talk about snow? You know, that's never been an issue in Chicago. How are we going to do the snow this time? Are we going to cover, are we going to be, no, I won't go there, no. What are we going to do about snow?
All right, we do have light flurries today, by the way, folks. Should be less than a quarter inch, and I'm hoping, you know, it's kind of borderline, I'm hoping the temperatures rise enough this afternoon to melt it. We have a very vigorous snow program in the city of Chicago, and I'm sure that vigor has nothing to do with the fact that we have our elections in February, but having said that, we have a very serious program. We're certainly ready this year. We're adding 20 new plows to our fleet. We have a fleet of 285 trucks. We have on the ground about 280,000 tons of salt, and we're certainly ready for winter. And when it snows, trust me, you will see us out there.
All right, last question. That was a good answer. Ethel Mohammed, am I right on that? A Safer Foundation? Where are you? Raise your hand. Notice, only people who ask questions are in the last row, Jay. There's got to be some, we'll make a study of that. Here we go. Just trying to get upward mobility, or actually forward mobility. How do you educate neighbors, non-homeowners, particularly renters, to use the blue cart properly?
Thank you so much for that question. And, you know, you've just described probably what I consider probably one of the largest challenges we're going to be facing as a department in the coming year. There are going to be some areas of the city where we have more issues with recycling than others, but that is where we are really counting on our outreach to the public schools, our outreach to the public in general to help us. We're rolling out a campaign. You're going to see, as you see the sign there on our truck, that's one of my newer trucks too. I like that one. Not only are you going to see our advertising on our trucks themselves, on CTA bus stops, you're also going to hear our radio advertisements, but we really, really have to depend on neighbors and friends and kids from school to take it back to the parents. What you're asking for in many instances is a change in how they do their daily activities. It's not going to be instantaneous. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's something that we have to start as a society talking about on a regular basis and beating down that door about how important it is to recycle. This is one where literally nobody loses. Nobody loses. For every piece that you recycle in the city of Chicago, the cost to the city budget decreases. You can recycle a can, and reproducing that can takes 80% less energy than building one, you know, creating one from scratch. You take one bottle and you recycle it, you're going to generate enough energy to power a television for 40 minutes. That's somebody's TV show there. So it's something that no one in society loses. The key is trying to get out that message so that everyone in society understands this is a win-win proposition. No matter where you live, no matter what your socioeconomic background is, everyone wins from this. So we're really going to be depending on the public to help us. That's why I ask you folks, when you go back, please talk to your neighbors about it. If you know someone who lives in an apartment building, talk to them. you know, the cans are going to be there. The more they help us, the more they're actually helping themselves. And that's the key, letting people know they're helping themselves.
How about a round of applause? We got some parting gifts here, Charlie.